So over the next 5 to 6 weeks, as we talk about finishing August and getting straight into September, there's actually a lot of new Nintendo Switch games that will be launching during this time period that I want to cover in today's video, some of which are major first-party releases, other ones are pretty big from a third-party perspective, and some release dates we just learned about for one of them in particular pretty recently. So I want to share my personal recommendations on which new Nintendo Switch games that are coming soon might be worth taking a second look at. And before we get on the same page with all of that, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And with that, I want to first hop over to releases.com, where they do have a nice put together website where you can actually see a ton of different media content and all of its release dates. You can filter it to games, movies, whatever the case of what you're looking for, specific consoles and all of that. And I will have this website linked in my description down below. And you can first see the list broken down by week, the week we are in right now. One quick honorable mention, Stumble Guys looks like something of a Fall Guys ripoff, but I actually enjoyed Fall Guys quite a bit and had a lot of fun with it. I believe this one's touting up to 32 players online, kind of battle royale style gameplay where you're trying to make it to the end and ultimately become victorious, but fun looking nonetheless. And then continuing on into the next week, you have Sugar Dew Island. I'm assuming for Stardew fans out there, this is kind of going to be right up your alley. Definitely takes a lot of inspiration from that style cozy game farming sim that we see plenty of nowadays, but you may have been watching this if you are a fan of games like that, and that will be out before the end of the month in August. Gundam Breaker 4 releases on August 29th, and it is one that if you're a mech fan, you like customization, you like the Gundam franchise maybe, this might be worth looking into. It does appear to have a pretty decent story mode in single player, and then also some battle modes online, and it does look like a big selling point for this game is the level of customization and the options that you have for setting up each Gundam exactly as you please. And you're going to progress through a bunch of different various combat style missions that you would expect from a standard Gundam game, and this is Gundam Breaker 4, so you might be familiar with the previous ones and know a little bit of what to expect. Now from there, the big first party new Nintendo game in the month of August is of course Meo The Smiling Man, that kind of broke the internet when Nintendo first teased an M-rated game that looked seriously out of character for them, and many people were wondering what this game was actually going to ultimately be. Well, it's of course the newest installment in the Famicom Detective Club series, and this is one that is a more narrative, story heavy focused game where you're of course solving a kind of dark mystery around Meo the Smiling Man and who this suspicious killer of urban legend actually is and what's going on in relation to some suspicious murders that are unfolding in front of you. So I have not checked out the demo for this yet, but they are actually releasing 3 individual demos for the game that you will kind of progress you through the very start of it. I am assuming, as I mentioned, very story heavy, so get ready to read a lot and respond accordingly, but nonetheless, a cool win for Famicom Detective Club fans because this is a big return for this franchise. And if you're a fan of more narrative story-driven games, definitely more than likely worth looking into. Now, next up, the week of September 2nd through the 8th, we do have on September 3rd the release of Bakaro, which does currently have a demo available for the Nintendo Switch. You can check it out ahead of time, but from the trailer, this does look pretty enjoyable as a 3D action adventure platforming beat 'em up style game. You're gonna progress through a myriad of different stages and kind of take out as many enemies as possible and collect a bunch of the coins, and I'm sure additional items that you can unlock as you go, and definitely some cool, power-ups that you get at certain points, being able to transform into like a giant robot and also take on some very interesting boss battles. And it looks like you definitely get to probably expand your combat abilities as you kind of traverse the game and progress. But this one had my eye. I do actually think that it looks like a pretty enjoyable game, all things considered. And again, demo available now for this one, and it will be out on the Switch on September 3rd. Out on September 6th, we will see Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, which is a collection of classic Ace Attorney games. I believe we saw this advertised most recently in the June Nintendo Direct. Again, very story-driven, narrative-based type of game here with multiple different decisions that you can make. But if you are a fan of the Ace Attorney games, you probably know what to expect with these, or if you've seen good things about them online, might be a good opportunity to pick up this collection where you can play through both Ace Attorney Investigations games in one collection. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions is out on September 3rd, and when I see the trailer for this game, it reminds me a little bit of Rocket League style gameplay in a way, but in the world of Harry Potter, obviously. exactly, but definitely seems like the majority of the fun of this game will be had online, likely with friends teaming up with each other or going head to head against each other in a variety of different modes. You can of course customize your characters and all of that fun stuff as well. And you know, visually it actually looks pretty good from a graphical standpoint, at least in the trailer, which I have not investigated if the trailers going around are not entirely for Nintendo Switch, so maybe do just a little bit more research before you pick it up. But again, this will be out towards the beginning of the month in September. If Funko Pops weren't already popular enough, they're now getting a game on Nintendo Switch released on September 13th, and this looks fun and silly enough. We did see it shown off at a Nintendo Direct presentation, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of you know, collecting different Funko Pops within the game. But then what's kind of crazy is the various gameplay styles that you see shown off throughout the trailer, because it just looks like there's a lot going on. Third person action adventure fighter type of game. They're going to have a lot of collaborations with various different characters that you recognize. And I think I recently saw some news from Capcom that Mega Man's going to be coming to this in some way, shape, or form. So not exactly the new Mega Man game many of us fans have been hoping for, but nonetheless, this will be out on the 13th. Looks enjoyable enough for some fun to maybe check out and take a second look at. And from there, continuing down to the week of the 16th through the 22nd, we actually finally have the release date for the Plucky Squire that we saw teased quite a while back. At this point in time, it is out September 17th on the Nintendo Switch. And this game looks very creative and something a little bit different than what you see every day with some of these, you know, more indie style developed games. This definitely stands out as something that, yeah, you're like in a book at a certain point of the game and you're literally like merged into the pages, then transitioning to fully 3D sections later on. Like quite literally the presentation style of this is absolutely what has sold me on it so far. And you know, classic different throwback portions where you're like more 2D side scrolling type of gameplay. It looks like it's going to have a lot of different options and a lot of different combat styles to kind of traverse through and surprises to throw your way. Hopefully a decent story to boot. It looks very, very cool from a presentation standpoint. It looks like there's going to be a lot of puzzles to solve, some different boss fights and things going on. I am pretty much sold on picking up and checking out this game shortly or right around launch. We may even do a video on it. So remember that September 17th, the Plucky Squire will hit Nintendo Switch and other consoles. Epic Mickey Rebrush is next on our list, out on September 24th. And this is yet another one that I'm excited to check out because I do have some level of nostalgia for the original Wii release back in the day and did enjoy my playthrough of that game. I don't know that I ended up finishing it though, and it's been so long that quite honestly, this will basically be like a new experience for me. But as somebody who has historically enjoyed Mickey Mouse games over the years, dating all the way back to the SNES and Sega Genesis days, yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. Really cool visual art style, of course. You are using Mickey's magic brush, of course, to kind of fend off enemies and survive. And then there's also quite a bit of transition to 2D throwback style gameplay, which is really cool as well. Starts out black and white as you progress through the various stages in the 2D sections, and kind of reminds you of where Mickey stemmed from in terms of him as a character. So lots of cool throwback stuff here if you are a fan of Mickey Mouse games at all over the years, and a pretty cool story to boot as well. So Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrush will be out on September 24th for Nintendo Switch and other platforms. Also, before we get to the major game on this list, quick shout out for some sports fans. We do have EA Sports FC 25, which will be releasing September 27th, and we did skip past NBA 2K25, which will be out September 6th. So keep that in mind for sports game fans out there. I personally won't be picking those up, but one game I absolutely will be none other than The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And boy, have we talked about this game already at length, so we'll keep it kind of brief for this video, but I do have some deep dive videos into what we've learned about this game on my channel, should you want to go check them out. I will tell you guys right now, having an original top-down 2D Legend of Zelda game released in 2024, just a year after we saw Tears of the Kingdom release, is very exciting to me. Yes, Zelda is the main protagonist this time around, and I am ready for that gameplay perspective. We also don't know if we might be switching between Link and Zelda at some points in the story, as it has been pointed out from the ESRB that Link will be playable. Could just be through the intro opening scene, or could be something more broad. But we also learned about the fact that you can traverse on a horse in this game. You have a crazy ability called Bind, which does remind me of Ultra Hand quite a bit, but still functions quite a bit differently, where you can attach yourself to various things within the world for example, a big boulder, and it will move exactly as Princess Zelda does, or some type of spiky enemy that you can actually use to damage other enemies as you go throughout. You can attach yourself to birds and essentially hitch a ride on them and fly on them. You can go faster whenever you attach to something that's rolling, or attach to a spider and crawl up the side of cliffs. Like, some really cool stuff. And I should say that's a mix of the bind and reverse bond ability, because each of those kind of do different things, where Zelda's actually attached to something, that's reverse bond. Bind is whenever she's moving something around, but really cool. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild era game inspired mechanics here. And also just seems like from a story perspective, it's going to be very cool to see what unfolds here. And it's pretty obviously teased at the end of the last trailer that we have an entire dark underground portion, or depths underneath Hyrule type of situation for whatever was cast all over Hyrule to go explore as well. Not just the overworld, but also the underworld. Maybe a little bit of a callback to Dark Hyrule from A Link to the Past, or even A Link Between Worlds with Lorule, but we'll have to see how all of that unfolds. I am obviously very excited for The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and if you are a collector, you might remember that there is also a Nintendo Switch Lite Special Edition that is launching alongside of the game, so you may want to try to get in a pre-order for that ahead of time if you really want to make sure you secure one. Although sometimes we see those in stock throughout the holiday season, I'm sure past that they don't typically run them for too long afterwards. But that about closes out our list, but I do want to give a quick honorable mention to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown Mask of Darkness, because this is DLC for really my favorite Metroidvania game in recent memory. This was so much fun to play through, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of the combat progression throughout the game as you get stronger as a character as you progress. The boss battles, just the level, world design, and exploration overall, literally top notch for any Metroidvania fan. And if you haven't picked up the base game yet, definitely do that, as it's pretty easy to find on sale nowadays, and you will have some fun new DLC content to play through just next month in September if you end up falling in love with the game like I did. But let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for any of these upcoming Nintendo Switch game releases that we went through today. Which of these, if any, will you be picking up? And do you think that we're right around the corner from a Nintendo Direct taking place? Because there are some outstanding rumors that suggest we might have to do a video similar to this again, with some updated announcements of games that are very soon to come. So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.